My name is Emma Carter, and I am 24 years old. I used to live with my dad, my stepmother, and my older brother, Jake. But everything changed when my stepmother made a demand that pushed me to leave. One evening, I came home from work, exhausted as usual. I worked long hours to help cover the household expenses, even though no one ever acknowledged it. As soon as I stepped inside, I saw my stepmother, Linda, sitting at the kitchen table. My dad was next to her, flipping through the mail. She looked up at me with a cold expression. "We need to talk." I sighed and sat down, already knowing this wouldn't be good. "You're an adult now," Linda said, crossing her arms. "If you want to live in this house, you need to start paying rent." I blinked, confused. Pay rent? I had been paying for almost everything, groceries, electricity, even part of the mortgage, but she acted like I wasn't contributing at all. "Linda, I already help with the bills," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She shook her head. "That doesn't matter. From now on, you need to give us a fixed amount every month. It's only fair." I turned to my dad, hoping for support. "Dad, you know how much I already pay. Why are you okay with this?" He sighed and put the mail down. "Linda's right, Emma. You live here, so you should pay your share." My heart sank. My own father was siding with her. What made it worse was that they thought my brother, Jake, was the one paying for everything, but it was actually me. Jake barely contributed, but Linda always treated him like a prince. That was the moment I made my decision. "Fine," I said, standing up. "If I have to pay rent to live here, I won't live here at all." I packed my bags that night and left. At first, they didn't seem to care. They probably thought Jake could handle the expenses. But soon, they would realize the truth. And that's when everything would fall apart. Leaving home should have felt like a fresh start, but instead, it felt like a storm was brewing. As I closed the door behind me that night, dragging my suitcase down the driveway, I kept waiting for anyone, to call me back. But no one did. "No. Where are you going?" "No, let's talk about this." Nothing. They didn't care. I had some savings, so I checked into a small motel for the night. The room was tiny, the bed was stiff, and the air conditioner rattled, but at least I had peace. For the first time in years, I wasn't under their roof, and that meant something. The next morning, I woke up to 0 missed calls. Not from Dad. Not from Jake. Not even from Linda. I sighed, shaking off the disappointment. If they didn't need me, I didn't need them either. A week passed. Then another. I moved into a small apartment with a friend from work, splitting rent. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. Then the phone calls started. At first, it was just one from Dad. Then another. Then Jake called me out of nowhere. I didn't answer. But curiosity got the best of me, and I finally picked up when Dad called again. His voice was tense. "Emma, we need to talk." I leaned back on my couch. "Oh, now you want to talk?" He sighed heavily. "Look, I know you're upset, but we're having some financial trouble." I bit my lip, trying not to laugh at the irony. "So, now that the bills aren't magically getting paid, they suddenly have trouble?" "Maybe you should ask Jake," I said. There was silence on the other end. That's when I knew. They finally realized. Jake wasn't paying. He never was. 2 days later, Jake showed up at my apartment. I stared at him through the peephole, debating whether to open the door. For years, he let them believe he was the responsible one, the one carrying the weight of the household, while I was the invisible one doing all the work. I finally opened the door, crossing my arms. "What do you want?" He looked uncomfortable, not his usual confident, easygoing self. "Emma, listen," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "I know things got messed up, but we need to figure this out." I raised an eyebrow. "We?" He sighed. "Look, I didn't mean for it to go this far. Linda just assumed I was covering the expenses, and I didn't correct her. It wasn't my fault." I scoffed. "You let her think that. You sat there and took the credit while I struggled to make ends meet." He didn't have an excuse for that. After a long silence, he admitted, "They're in trouble, Emma. Dad's been stressed. Linda's been freaking out. They don't know how to handle the bills. They need help." I stared at him. After everything, they still thought they could count on me? I shook my head. That's not my problem anymore. He looked at me like he couldn't believe what I was saying. You're really going to just walk away? He asked. I held my ground. I already did. After that, things started falling apart for them fast. Linda tried to keep up appearances, acting like everything was fine, but their finances crumbled. They missed mortgage payments. The electricity got shut off once. And suddenly, Jake wasn't the golden child anymore. The best part? People started to notice. Neighbors, family friends, even relatives who used to praise Jake and Linda. And me? For the first time, I was free. But something told me this wasn't over yet. For the first time in years, I was living life on my own terms. No more walking on eggshells, no more being treated like I didn't exist. I was free. But something told me my past wasn't done with me yet. A month passed without any contact from my family. I thought that meant they'd finally accepted my decision. I was wrong. One evening, after a long shift at work, I came home to find Linda standing outside my apartment building. My heart clenched. Of all people, I never expected her to come looking for me. She spotted me and straightened up.
Emma.
I debated turning around and walking the other way, but something about the way she looked, stressed, tired, desperate, made me pause. What do you want? I asked, keeping my voice steady. She let out a heavy sigh. I think we should talk. I crossed my arms. Talk about what? How you forced me to pay all the bills, gave Jake all the credit, and then kicked me out when I finally had enough? She pursed her lips. That's not what happened. I laughed bitterly. Oh, really? Then tell me, Linda, what had happened? She hesitated. For the first time in years, she didn't have a sharp comeback. She looked away, like she was trying to find the right words. Finally, she spoke. We're losing the house. I wasn't surprised. I had seen this coming the moment I left. But hearing her say it out loud? That was different. Jake can't afford to pay everything, she admitted. We thought. She stopped herself. I raised an eyebrow. You thought what? That I'd come crawling back? That I'd feel bad and fix everything for you? She said nothing. I shook my head. Not my problem. She looked up sharply. Emma, this is your family. That word, family, stung. She had never treated me like family. I took a deep breath. No, Linda. Family doesn't treat each other the way you treated me. I was nothing but an ATM to you. And now that I'm gone, you're realizing that you made the wrong choice. She swallowed hard. I made mistakes. I blinked. Was that an apology?
No.
She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry for the consequences. I refused to let guilt creep in. I hope you figure things out, Linda. But I'm not coming back. I turned and walked away. I thought that would be the end of it. But a week later, I got a call that changed everything. It was from Jake. His voice was panicked. Emma, Dad collapsed. He's in the hospital. For the first time since leaving, my heart clenched with worry. Dad. Not Linda. Not Jake.
Dad.
I didn't hesitate. I'm on my way. But something told me this was just the beginning. The moment I hung up the phone, my hands trembled. Dad was in the hospital. No matter how angry I was at him for siding with Linda, he was still my father. And I wasn't ready to lose him. I grabbed my keys and rushed out the door. The drive to the hospital felt like a blur. Red lights, honking cars, my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. By the time I arrived, I was breathless. I spotted Jake in the waiting area, pacing back and forth. He looked up when he saw me, relief flashing across his face. Emma, he said, his voice tight. They're still running tests. I swallowed the lump in my throat. What happened? Jake ran a hand through his hair. He just collapsed. One minute he was fine, the next he was on the floor. Is he awake? Jake shook his head. Not yet. Before I could process anything, Linda appeared. Her eyes were red, her usually polished appearance now disheveled. When she saw me, she stopped in her tracks. We stared at each other for a moment. I called you, she finally said, voice quiet. I frowned. No, you didn't. Her face twitched. I wanted to. I wasn't sure if I believed her, but I didn't have the energy to fight.
Not now.
Just then, a doctor walked into the room. Carter family, he asked. We all rushed forward. How is he? I asked. The doctor sighed. He had a minor heart attack. We stabilized him, but he's weak. He needs rest, a healthier lifestyle, and less stress. I exhaled. A heart attack. My father wasn't invincible after all. He's awake if you want to see him. I stepped into Dad's hospital room, my chest tightening at the sight of him. He looked small in the bed, his face pale and tired. Hey, Dad, I said softly. He turned his head slowly, eyes landing on me. For a moment, he just stared. Then, to my shock, his eyes filled with tears. Emma, he whispered. I swallowed hard, stepping closer. He took a shaky breath. I messed up, didn't I? Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to cry.
Yeah, Dad.
You did. He nodded slowly. I let Linda control too much. I should have stood up for you. I stayed silent, letting him talk. I knew you helped with the bills, he admitted. I didn't want to fight with Linda. It was easier to pretend everything was fine. I bit my lip. Easier for him, but not for me. He reached for my hand. I'm sorry, Emma. For the first time, he truly sounded like he meant it. I squeezed his hand gently. I don't know if I can forgive you yet. He nodded. I understand. And for the first time in years, he actually did. As I stepped out of the room, I saw Linda standing nearby. She looked defeated. I walked past her, but she called out, Emma, wait. I sighed. What, Linda? She hesitated before whispering, Are you really never coming back? I turned to her, tilting my head. Why do you care? You wanted me gone. She looked away. I didn't think it would turn out like this. I crossed my arms. You mean you didn't think I'd actually leave? She didn't answer. For years, she made me feel like I wasn't enough, like I was just a burden. And now, she wanted to act like she cared? I took a deep breath. I wasn't the same girl who let her walk all over me. I've built my own life now, Linda. One without you. Her face crumbled. I turned and walked away. This time, for good. Leaving the hospital that night felt different. Lighter. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying the weight of my family's expectations. I was free, but freedom came with its own challenges. I drove back to my apartment, my mind racing. Dad had apologized. For once, he actually admitted he was wrong. But did that change anything? Could I ever forgive him? And Linda, she wasn't the same arrogant woman I had left behind. She was broken. But was it guilt? Or just regret that her perfect world was crumbling? I shook the thoughts away as I stepped inside my apartment. This was my life now, and I had no intention of looking back. A few days later, I was at work when my phone buzzed. A text from Dad. Dad, I know I don't deserve another chance, but I'd like to try. Maybe dinner sometime? Just the two of us. I stared at the message, my emotions tangled. A month ago, I would have ignored it.
But now,
did I want to give him a chance? I sighed and typed back. I'll think about it. Baby steps. That evening, just as I was settling in with a book, someone knocked on my door. I groaned. If it's a neighbor selling something, I swear. But when I opened the door, it was Jake. I frowned. What are you doing here? He hesitated before speaking. Can we talk? I crossed my arms. About what? How you let Linda treat me like garbage. Or how you let her believe you were paying the bills when you weren't. He sighed, rubbing his temples. I messed up, okay? I leaned against the doorframe.
Yeah, Jake.
You did. He nodded. I didn't correct her, because I liked being the favorite. I like having it easy. But when you left, everything fell apart, and I realized how much you actually did for us. I stayed silent, letting him continue. I never should have let you carry everything on your own. I'm sorry, Emma. I searched his face, looking for dishonesty, but I didn't find it. I exhaled. You're a little late, don't you think? I know, he admitted, but I still wanted to say it. For the first time, I saw him not as the golden child, but as a flawed person. Maybe he had been just as manipulated as I had. I softened. Apology accepted. But I'm not going back, Jake. That life is over for me. He nodded. I know. I hope we can be family again someday. I hesitated before responding. We'll see. Maybe not today. Maybe not even soon. But someday. A week later, I sat alone in a quiet coffee shop, sipping my drink and watching the world go by. For the first time in my life, I wasn't living in someone else's shadow. I wasn't carrying anyone else's burdens. I was just Emma, and that was enough.